So let's get on to oil and water dressing. Listen closely. Listen very closely. This is your final warning. Passover is here, none shall pass. There will be wars and rumors of wars, such as the chant of the ego mind. The ego lives only in the physical, where the Lord, its God, is a jealous God. Its Lord is the one of polarized judgment and constant conflict. It, the reptilian mind ego, seeks solace in imprinting others of its kind and sucks greedily at the teats hanging from the imprints of others of its kind. It is the chattering Babylonian that seeks to express its conflict from within into the material world it creates in its own image, having at its center the hex of G between consciousness E and creation O. It is the mind that claims, I'm not jealous, I'm not materialistic, and utterances of the like, all the while blaming others and justifying its position constantly. You cannot talk to one trapped in this circuit of circuits because they simply short out and explode even further. It is the screaming child in the toy store, yet equal responsibility is shared with the parent for even bringing them to the store in the first place. They promise to be good children over and over again, but you see the trend where the child is best left to have some quiet time to think about it. They are the ones that live in the physical waters of emotions, storming seas, destroying their ships, while they are caught up in the rigging of the game. Intertwining with the oils of spirit and intent, all of the chaos creating murky waters until these raging emotional monsters are tamed and destroyed. The tricky bit, and the one that is the hardest, is knowing this, and then standing in the face of others who do not, while they whip you with their cat-o'-nine tails, the very one they need to turn on themselves. It's as simple as never needing to say sorry, and every time you do, that's the beast's fault, not the spirit. Shake up water and the dark oil long enough and it becomes opaque, impossible to see through, and this is the majority of mankind. The more one wants materialistically to induce a false joy, the more one needs to say, I'm sorry. I just learned to listen to myself long enough to hear these echoes of self, to remove the G, water, in ego, and replace it with Ka, K, the spirit of oil, becoming that echo. We are all well conditioned from birth to silence that echo into the polarized ego where conditions replace unconditionality. Don't try telling an ego about that either, unless your intent is to stir up the murky waters to be imprinted with the same virus in them that loves to infect others of its misery loves company kind, or to expose this program for them without you yourself being imprinted. That is the nature of a catalyst, in that it creates the reaction while remaining fully unchanged and neutral in the process. Spiritual awakening clues are laid out so clearly in the physical realms, they'll most miss them, because they are in the literal physical interpretations of them. This is a game of energies interacting, creating physical things where most see that only in a mirror of illusion and distraction. This ego thing is so easy to spot, where all one has to do is realize when they are reacting, playing out the same role, to anything, be it through words, situations, or circumstances from emotions. If you get that last sentence, you're well on your way. Just notice some of the reactions you may have hearing or reading this, and there are your mirrors and clues. Clue, clay, your nails or your keys to open your doors or nail you back on the same cross I'm trying to pull you down from. It's funny how the Roman Catholic Church spends so much time and effort placing the crucified idol up on a pedestal. So is it any wonder why the world is the mess it is? Again, do not get polarized on this either by ranting about the church, the government, etc., because they are all our creations equally, set in place to play this game. Been there, done that, insanity. Once you see them for the mirrors they are, then you'll be able to balance it. So much for the mystery and blindness gets removed once you start truly seeing what is contained in the spellings and words. Take, for example, lancing a boil, and make a few alterations by flipping out the hex G with the spirit Ka, and using sound as your guide, no spellbinding. Lancing becomes Lance Ink. Now letter by letter and sound by sound expanded. LA or law makes law sound as well as law and others. N is a conjunctive possessive, which means anything it is connected to says mine. C is the note of love, 528 hertz, and is the open O or unconditional, allowing all things in and out equally. The I is the upside down spirit of I, or the exclamation mark, which you may know as an exclamation mark. Horse from Welsh sounded as whores as well. The last letter being spirit allows me to read a sentence, many, out of that word, but it is now what my intention says in that sound versus another's imprinted definition. Literally, lance means to stab something, or a spear a knight might carry, if one is spellbound fully. Here's the hidden meaning I use for the same sound. The law that is mine in unconditional love in consciousness, as below, so above in my spirit, or law mine in spirit. I always thought it odd as a child that the letters could be used to spell the letters out, and I saw that as the same as using a word you were defining in its definition of itself. A little insane, if you ask me, so I learned to look a little deeper. The best part about this phonics revolution is that the ego loves to play its little intellectual games, so they're peas in a pod. Only when one removes emotion from all equations will one truly see this, and then begin to see the connectedness of all things. The ego is constantly asking questions outside of itself due to its fear of being found and made responsible for its actions. It will use any and all justifiers to achieve this aim and continue on its circular merry-go-round. Simply put, the ego is hell and you, the real you, are heaven. The ego is the demon, the of me that needs to be exercised, not exercised, but many have quite the inner jungle gym, my G, hex of intent, L of spirit, new in this mirror, literally. For me, this game is about returning the power of intentions to myself and others, and the only way I found to do this is by literally reversing the negative intentions in all words and all languages as a result of the symbiotic nature of sounds being attached to the letters. The mother of creation is silent magnetic. Her creation is sound that forms all things, including light, just a higher frequency is all. These truths are so utterly blatant once you begin to see the magic of this connectedness in sound by decoding the spellings where coincidences cease to exist. Coincidence has 3 words that come to mind immediately, but then I spend the time to slow down during show and tell, patiently waiting for the other children to share their glee without being impatient about, trying to show off my toy is better. Coin, side, dents. Coin, side, ents are the immediate toys to play with. So let's play and see what we can build with these let-go blocks, shall we? Coin, something you can use to barter with, has 3 sides with a rim, a head and a tail of the dragon. Please note, I use all sound rules as they appear in all variations of all letters in all languages, and using these rules, I break all rules accordingly. Do not be sonically fooled by my spellings. Mine are deliberate of liberate, in order to set you free of this spellbinding we're all in. Side, simply a choice as to a position of positive, negative, or neutral, in the same way as a coin has 3 of them, so do you. Side is a suffix, sounds identical yet means to kill, as in genocide, etc. Though when these sounds are uttered without knowing this, what are you really creating in the every sound wish granted in the formerly silent magnetic field? Sound creates all of our reality, where the intentions hidden by another have us creating their realities in our ignorance of this truth. Which side are you on? Dense, very compacted, heavy, no room to vibrate, no space to create. Ents is a suffix for mind or spirit, where emotions create density and destiny, and is the creation field of your intent. Unfortunately, your intent has been owned by another, and emotions are the tools used to make people tools of their creations. Co is a prefix meaning duality or together, and creates a paired intent when attached, attacked, to another word. Remember, I use all available sounds contained in the letters, where CH can also make a K sound. But you have to slow down your monkey mind chatter, which is all ego, trying to figure stuff out analytically. It is the most powerful tool in the physical once you can contain the emotional reactions versus emotional choices. In can be defined as part of, and the I, mine. You should try flipping your keyboard upside down to see what you can see. Quite fascinating. In a literal sentence or two, coincidence takes on many tensions in iotions, in 10T ions, where one is torn in duality on the head or tail of their own drag on, where their spirit breath, rho, of the I am, rim, is still spinning in the constant ego coin tosses. I'm hoping by now you're beginning to see the magic of this and how we are all spellbound due to emotions, emotions, or consciousness mote ions. I have covered these things in countless shows and writings, so if your intention is to be spiritually free, you will take the time to read and listen. I am long wearied by the emotional types that feel the need to insist that I am lying to them, where perhaps they need to also put everything on the line. They need to also put everything on the line to stand in truth. An ego will never accept an answer as true because it has been formulated. It has already formulated its own excuses and justifiers where it simply cannot hear truth, since all they've been used to all their lives are lies from a broken mirror of this material world. As a personal example to illustrate this point, I was asked the other day from someone in a pure emotional ego program if I missed my kids or not. Well, one, that is simply a retarded question, given that it was for my children and loved ones closest to me that I set out on this path that encompassed all humanity. Contained within the question itself is an assumption created that somehow I did not, but then that is simply judgment from a polarized dragon. Regardless of how I will answer any questions, Q stuns, K stuns, an presumption that is and was already there. The master asks questions from within and makes statements without, where the slave asks questions outside for another master's statement taken within. Again, sheer insanity. If one is in a state of knowing, where is the need to ask anyone else questions, other than to see where they are on this scale of master to slave and slave to master? You might want to question why within it, why the Rosicrucians, Red Cross, Emotional Cross, Maltese Cross, etc., copyrighted the question mark symbol. Nice hook of the dot once you flip it over. I put my infinity on the line as far as standing in truth, so I will give anyone and everyone the make I straight, magistrate answer. As I said earlier, take the G hex out of words and put your spirit back in to see the make I see versus magic for yourselves. For someone to ask a question of the nature regarding those I love shows the mirror of what the one asking the question is separate from love. I and only I know my intentions, where others can only accept, assume, or presume, where most are making an as you me or an as-is intention of magnetic electric, that I simply call an ego imprint, infecting them as imprinted by another of its program ilk. The measure of your difficulty accepting this is just a measure of your own ego imprints going schizoid, multiple personality insanity. But, by now you may have an idea as to how nearly impossible it is to break through this monster within, but I assure you, I will do anything in any way I can to expose it for you at infinite personal cost. This is the allegory of the crucifixion. When one reaches any level of Christ consciousness, one is willing to be crucified by the very mobs they love unconditionally, where the emotional ego can always justify spiritual murder. Cain, Abel, ring a bell, anybody? Yeah, thought so. Maybe it's time for many to remove the spin cycle from their laundry and simply soak in the waters of truth in the dark chamber tub within, removing external blamings of others, assuming that everyone is somehow a liar first and telling the truth second. If you can see your hand the same way as starlings flying in a murmuring unity, then and only then will you begin to see this reality as pure Anu-Archi, or the heart of light, or heart light key versus energy, and ear hex, inner hex, finally, and get some of your create ion powers back. Mother Nature knows when her children are ready, and those still fighting, still jealous, still angry, etc., are creationally mute dead, being the mutants, mutants, that they are, and will suffer the continual mirrors of their own mindless creations of the same anger, jealousy, fear, fist fights, and so on. And you wonder why you have, conflicts in your lives. Are you willing to open yourself up enough to be attacked by those you love, to do whatever it takes to shock their raws into view? Can you handle the rumors and rumor mongers created from cross-pollinations of other egos going circular in a literal world that only see and live in the physical? There is nothing so painful as that, but the reward is a mirrored bliss, if but one shall awaken to this singularity, where the truth does set you free. I get to spend inordinate amounts of time transmuting this energy as it appears as hate, blame, and all manner of filthy emotionals, but I know I can handle it and be grateful knowing the pure creational power it grants as a result. The imprintings of doubt are abating in rapid fashion as a result of this as well. Doubt, the creation of the Pisces duality of I believe or I don't believe is visible. It would be a good idea to review my essay on Phoenician Starter Kit at kateofgaia.wordpress.com, and I'd hazard to say to read all of it if you have any intention of waking up. Mother Nature is not happy with most of her children due to their warring ways, and her patience is worn out and coming to fruition at the same time. The clock is run out, and the tick-tock of Babylonians is crucifying her standing in truth, kids. Perhaps those that miss the abundance I brought and bring them due to their greed and ego, that still tries to equate things like money to spirit, might miss it when it is no longer there. Then again, perhaps not, and then will create all manner of nonsense, degrading, berating, and ultimately stab me in the spiritual back as they always do. No worries, because I will continue until that if but one shall awaken, finally awakens to end this nightmare. As an example of ego versus spirit, the majority will see that as an arrogant statement of holier than thou, where the spirit sees unconditional love of thou art holy, but not quite seeing it yet. To put into words the countless crucifixions I have endured and continue to observe is as simple as the statement, fist fight, hold the light, or carry out the dead, or the allegory of the Christ mind between the double crosses of the ego thieves on either side. If you want to hold the light, you're going to be crucified, only that your intention decides your fate, or the heart root node, Fa, in the law of truth and consciousness. No, have at her, kids, and grab your nail guns, because every nail you put in each other is a nail you crucify yourself with. Every nail you try and put in me passes through me on its return trip to you. I'm a catalyst, after all. A Kate, all eyes. Spirit of love, all eyes. T. But then it's all about how you pre-now and say it, and what intentions are in that sound as spell due to your spellbinding. Once you neutralize the energy in a word, you'll be creating a whole new world instead of the same old hole in you world, creating your external master's planet. Me, I got in the stillness to allow the oil of spirit to rise and sit above the waters of emotional ego, resting atop and never touching each other while the masses keep it swirling around them, creating murky cesspools of their reality. So please keep missing the forest for the trees, the true cross, and see only the negatives as your ego allows. See the broken axe, but not the firewood chopped by another to heat you. See only the greed of look what I did for you, while missing the infinite blessings bestowed on you, where my mere presence raised the temperature in your house, and where I was only occupying a space you couldn't use while you were occupying another space anyway. If one can see abundance instead of ego greed, gimme servitude of material possessions, be it organic or inorganic, you'll begin to finally see the light of you instead of the emotional mirror reflection of ego, in the same way the moon, emotions, reflects the sun's, spirit's, light. Then you can pierce or per se the veil to cross the veil. The enemy your ego tries to make of me is the mirror of self one needs to see. The spirit of ultimate beauty within you will never fully hear this until the demonic possession of your ego program is silenced once and for all. You will no longer be afraid to come to me first, where the normal program of misery loves company, backstabbing, and rumor-mongering imprinting other egos while they imprint yours. You're only creating storms in your oil and water, where your anger is your ankh aura and will keep your true ship and mind from ever setting sail or ever leaving the peer pressure of port, Cain mind, left field. I am the spiritual whore of Babylon, BB Law Mind, baby, where humanity as a whole are the blinded physical whores serving only the physical masters, where all the golden mean spirit of creation is culled and harvested. So don't hesitate to defend yours, elf, because it is telling you exactly what you need. Hell, I gave you the fishing rod where you were used to getting fish, and you love to hate me for it. Go ahead, because your shit flies through me like my camel slides through the needle, where yours is too packed to fight. No, I have nothing to talk about anymore with anyone stuck in this circular trap so clearly exposed because their egos own them and they are consumed by their own darkness, folding in on itself in an infinite downward spiral, deafened, defend, until they are finally deaf-end by the lights of truth. I see the end creations of my intent first and walk accordingly, where everything I do has a reason for a positive outcome, and only those that are polarized see the negative based on vile programs running. Maybe the better question to ask is, do you miss my children? Where I will always answer you, yes, I do, because I know they are me, and I'm only walking this road to bring all children home. Unfortunately and fortunately, not all will make it on this round, but then that's natural order, where only the fittest past will survive, which is I, truth, I have. Fools to the left of me, jokers to the right, stuck in the middle with you, exactly where I choose to be. My intent is pure evil in the mirror. Live. Every cut of 1,000 cuts is received in gratitude and unconditional love, and the blunter your blade, the better, because the true sword pulled from the stone cuts to shreds every time you try. Let me make a suggestion. That rock of Peter you're walking around with that has a sword of King Arthur in it, put the rock down and see if you have the strength to pull it out. This sword I carry now is weightless, just like the heart that wields it. Paper, rock, psi, sores. This sword defeats them all and leaves them without a Piscean leg to stand on or a pot to piss in. Now, be a good little ego and run away, like in the Holy Grail scene. This is one castle keep your ego can't scale, because you're still wearing the scales of the reptilian brain war mind instead of the scales of just is. It's just a coincidence that the letters A and E are in the 1 and 5 spot in our alphabet, right? A and E are yin and yang in the mirror, long ago shown as such. Punch 1515 or 5151 into your calculators and then turn it upside down and backwards. Now you see the world as I do, and your ego program will fight you every step of the way. A world full of pots calling pans black asses. Enjoy your mere ego row-und. It only costs you immortality. Mois in love, as always.